Influencing popular culture, politics, and everything in between. The local station takes you ringside as we discuss the crazy world that is professional wrestling. This is Going Ringside with The Local Station.
Hello there, and welcome to Going Ringside. I'm your host, Scott Johnson. So glad you could be with us. We're bringing an extra episode to you this week because we have an important update into the legal issues surrounding former WWE owner Vince McMahon, because there's a lot has happened in the hours after the recent episode we brought you earlier this week, positing the question of whether Donald Trump can make Vince McMahon's legal issues go away, specifically with the Department of Justice. So let's explain what happened. So last week, the Securities and Exchange Commission, or SEC, came out and said that Vince McMahon improperly handled hush money payments. He did not disclose them and had to pay fines for that. After that, Ann Callis, she's the lawyer who represents Vince McMahon's accuser, Janelle Grant, put out a statement and indicated something interesting in it, saying that he still has to deal with his investigation by the Southern District of New York, which is the Department of Justice. So we did a show, can Donald Trump, when he takes office, a longtime ally of McMahon, make this all go away? But hours after our show came out, which is why we're back here right now, we got this statement that was out, published, and all over the online from Vince McMahon's attorney, Jessica Rosenberg. I want to read you this quote that was put out on websites like Fightful, SE Scoops, 411 Mania. It's all over the place from his lawyer, Jessica Rosenberg. This is the quote that's out there. The recent federal investigation resulted in no criminal indictments from SDNY, Southern District of New York. While the SEC settlement relates to minor accounting issues at WWE that have nothing to do with this case, any claims to the contrary made by Janelle Grant's team are just another desperate PR stunt. So, what do we have right now? I've reached out to the Department of Justice on the McMahon case to see, is this case gone away? I've not heard a response. So what we have right now is we have McMahon's lawyer saying it's done, it's over. We have Janelle Grant's lawyer saying, indicating in a statement they're still investigating. Obviously, they're still suing Vince McMahon in federal court for a lot of allegations, including sex trafficking. But the question is he still under investigation by the federal government? According to McMahon's lawyer, the answer is no. So I brought back in veteran defense lawyer Jee Nichols with the Nichols and Pina law firm based down here in Florida to help us analyze this case. I just sat down with Gene. Now that we have lawyers from McMahon and Grant saying different things, with McMahon's lawyer saying he is no longer under Department of Justice investigation, what does this all mean? What can we infer from all this? Here's my interview with veteran defense attorney Jee Nichols. Well, we're joined again to discuss this with Jee Nichols with the law offices of Nichols and Pina down here based in Florida. Gene, thanks for joining us again.
God, happy to be back again.
Well, I want to talk about this. So we've got an update. McMahon's attorneys have put out a statement saying that the Southern District of New York, no criminal charges have been filed. We haven't heard from DOJ directly yet, just the SEC. It kind of sounds like right now it's a battle of words between the lawyers. The plaintiff's lawyer says Southern District of New York still investigating. The defendant's lawyer, McMahon's lawyer, says no, he had no criminal wrongdoing.
So, Scott, pick which one you want to believe. Typically speaking, as a lawyer, if the Department of Justice is no longer investigating my client, and I know that, I will take the position they're no longer investigating my client and potentially say something out loud. The Department of Justice is not going to have misled this lawyer. The lawyer clearly believes that the DOJ investigation, which is separate than the SEC, has been completed. Obviously, the lawyer for the plaintiff disagrees, but I suspect that the lawyer for Mr. McMahon would not have gone out in public and said there is no more DOJ investigation unless they've been told there's no more DOJ investigation. So presumably, we're going to hear very soon from the Department of Justice that whatever criminal investigation that they were doing no longer exists.
And I do want to get that because, obviously the press can hound them, but Department of Justice, for the most part, has been silent this entire time. Is it possible they don't say anything. Obviously, in the next week, there's going to be chaos at DOJ with a new administration. Is it possible DOJ just doesn't say anything?
It's possible that we don't hear anything from the Department of Justice because, again, this is their investigation. They can do with it what they want. And typically, when you do deal with such sensitive allegations similar to what we have here, the Department of Justice and even a state court investigation, whomever, is usually not going to comment on it one way or the other. But again, we may only be able to rely upon what his lawyer has to say. But again, I would expect McMahon's lawyer to not say it's over unless it's over. So we may get something on paper, we may not, but the lawyer clearly has been told that there is no more DOJ investigation, because why in the world, if you're representing somebody and they're doing an investigation of your client, you're not going to go out and publicly say they're no longer doing it, because all that's going to do is upset people to no end.
Now, why, or rather, do you feel a lot of this, as much as it is about the DOJ investigation, do you think there's issues of, footing for the civil lawsuit, to look good and, get what they can going into the civil lawsuit, which is the other big part of this?
So when it comes to the civil lawsuit, I expect, so Scott, and I'm sorry, Scott, to understand your question, are you talking about the statements that are being made, or tell me what your thought is?
Right now, they're kind of playing this out in the press. Do you expect that, whatever's out there will, kind of come into play once this lawsuit gets to court?
Yeah. So, yes, I think that from a discovery standpoint, from the amount of information that is out there for what the lawyers or the positions that they're taking, look, like lawyers, especially in situations like this, are going to want to get in front of the press, get this out in public. This public lawsuit, as much as anything, can only potentially benefit the plaintiff. And on the flip side, from the defense standpoint, for McMahon, if the Department of Justice is not investigating any longer, they're going to do everything they can to get that out, to suggest, listen, there's nothing to see here, which means that there's nothing to see here. But obviously, the plaintiff's lawyer is going to say, we don't care what happens with the Department of Justice. It does not matter to us. We believe our client. We believe this happened. We believe we can prove what is necessary in a civil lawsuit. The Department of Justice can do whatever they want. But obviously, the potential defendant, Mr. McMahon, is going to use that the Department of Justice does nothing to say there's nothing to see here on either side.
Jee Nichols with the law offices of Nichols and Pina down here in Florida. Gene, thank you for joining us.
Absolutely, Scott. Happy to do it.
So as you can see, this is a constant, fluid situation with a lot of moving parts. If any new developments happen, we, of course, will bring them to you on Going Ringside. We have covered this case as much as anyone in the media anywhere in the country, and we will bring you any more developments as they happen. Most likely, if the DOJ investigation is, in fact, done, the big next step is the civil lawsuit. And I invite you to go back and look at our episode where we posit the question if Trump can make McMahon's legal troubles go away, because Jee Nichols in that interview says that you will see in this civil trial, if it happens, some of the biggest stars, biggest celebrities of any trial in history, maybe on par with what you're seeing with some other high-profile celebrity trials. Massive famous names will be either called to the stand to testify, subpoenaed for information, for a deposition. So it will get interesting in coming months. And of course, we here at Going Ringside will bring it to you every step of the way. For now, we appreciate you joining us, and we'll see you back here next time.
This has been Going Ringside with The Local Station, brought to you every Wednesday on your favorite podcast player, on News 4 Jax Plus, as well as the News 4 Jax YouTube channel.